Episode 39, Meet the Grader series with Shaun from Card Boss. All right, I think we are live. Welcome to what I think will be episode 39 of the Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson. I'm your host, Denny Cards, a jack of all trades, master of none, maybe even uncle or funkle in this hobby space we like to simply call the hobby. And as I like to paraphrase Jay-Z, you could be listening to any podcast in the world, but you're here with me. And so thank you so much for doing so. However, you're not here just with me today. We have a very special guest for this continuing mini series of Meet the Grader. Today, I do not have a grader per se. I don't have someone in a grading company per se. But when you think of someone in the grading space, it's a very big space. And this company and this person, very new to me. It is a company that does pre-grading assessments via an app on your phone. And so I would like to welcome Shaun. Why did I brain fart right before I said your name? I would like to welcome Shaun to the pod. Welcome, Shaun.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting. I'm glad we were able to put this together.
I'm not editing that. I'm just keeping it the way it is. Life is full of brain farts and missteps and things when you're not speaking well, like I am just now. But thank you for being here. So here's the thing, I like to have a little bit of pre-recorded, like a call or like a little chat that we have. You told me a little bit about yourself. Found out about your app recently. We've been talking on DMs, and I'm just fascinated by what you're providing because I think that, anything that we can do to help the general public with grading, I think it's great. So what I would like to do, I guess maybe first is ask you kind of like a general overview of your company, and then I would love to get to know you more as a person, and then we can get more into the company itself.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good. So to start, I guess kind of with Card Boss, I had sent some cards in to get graded, and the grade that I was anticipating or expected to get back didn't happen. So, I ended up going to Amazon and buying like this little $12 or $15 grading tool, and it was like a measuring chart with a pair of jeweler loops, etc. And that didn't really seem to help my outcomes either. So I actually, it was just kind of, fortunate luck. I stumbled upon, this has been a couple of years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago now, a website that was Card Boss's website. And it was the only company that I found that was doing any type of virtual AI digital grading, as a screening tool. So I dove into it and used it quite a bit and sent a bunch of cards into, at the time it was PSA. Since then, we've obviously done a ton of tests with SGC and Beckett. So I pre-screened 11 cards with the Card Boss app, or at the time with the Card Boss website, sent them in to PSA, waited my 3 months, got those cards back, and 10 of the 11 came back with the same grade that Card Boss had said, that it was going to get. The grade that didn't, it came off. It was one number off. I think Card Boss gave it an 8, PSA gave it an 8. Card Boss gave it a 9. So, I thought 10 of 11 was good. I did a little bit more research, more cards, etc., using the website. And so finally, I actually reached out to the contact us on the website. At the time, Card Boss, totally different company, totally different logo. It really wasn't a business. It was just more of this technology that was available, very, very obscure technology that was available. And come to find out, the lady actually that had the patent and started the company lives like 20 minutes from my house. So at that point, I was like, all right, hey, I can't not ask you to meet with me. I'd actually in the background been trying to put together, a team to build something just like Card Boss. I just got lucky and found Card Boss, and she happened to live close to me. The time was right for her to sell the business, and the time was right for me to buy the business. So it came together pretty quickly. So in the last year specifically, we've spent, or me and even a couple of other folks have spent a ton of time and put a lot of money and time and effort into not only refining the technology, but also building a brand and trying to build the company and getting a new logo and putting together an app. We talked to a bunch of people, a bunch of current users at the time, although there wasn't at the time, there wasn't very many. I worked with a bunch of just, folks in the hobby that had cards and wanted to grade them and see if, Card Boss worked. And we were getting the grades back what we wanted. But the process was a little bit clunky using the website. So we, invested in putting together an app. So the mobile app is available on, for your iPhone, Android. So, Apple, Google Play, etc. So that's kind of how Card Boss started. I feel like there's, and there still probably is. I mean, we have a ton of opportunity to grow. Certainly, there's a need for folks to be able to get a better idea of the grade they should expect after they send their card to get graded by one of the traditional kind of slab and grade companies.
Wow, so this is really cool. I had no clue that this lady lived 20 minutes from your house.
Yeah,
And I know you mentioned this to me before we pressed record, but you are based out of where again?
Columbus, Ohio.
Awesome. So I don't know, was this individual still in Columbus or like a nearby town or city, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, I live in like a northwest suburb of Columbus,
Hmm.
and she lives one suburb over. I mean,
Gotcha.
it's probably 8 miles away. It's just 20 or 25-minute drive to get.
Gotcha. The reason I asked that is, I mean, I feel so bad. I don't know much about the Midwest. Like if someone told me find Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, Cleveland, I would be like throwing darts at a board. I feel really bad, but I can't
Yeah,
make those places out. So I do apologize. I'm such a
Columbus is right in the center of the state.
gotcha.
So as you can see, I've got Ohio State stuff behind me. So it's Columbus is where Ohio State is. That's
Well,
how most
I
people live.
that I definitely know. I know two things. Jeni's ice cream. Love my Jeni's.
Yeah,
And you and I have a shared love and potentially hate relationship with Urban Meyer.
yeah, probably.
um,
Are you a Florida guy? Or are you?
Florida Gator, he did some amazing stuff for the program. I watched Swamp Kings on Netflix. Just it was a magical run right after I had graduated from college that I did miss out on those championship years. But I mean, he comes in like a hurricane and he leaves like a hurricane, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. It's he's probably feel the same way, right? Like the results are great, but yeah, has certainly been a rough ride for our boy Urban here in the last 3, 4, 5 years. So
So what a wild ride. Definitely can't say that he's boring or not.
I actually watched Swamp Kings as well.
Nice.
I think they kind of let Florida off the hook. They didn't
Yeah,
talk.
they sure did.
They didn't talk too much about all of the issues off the field. If you notice, like you could see Cam Newton was like in the background of one of the kind
Hmm.
of practices or whatever. They didn't even
Hmm.
mention him getting kicked off the team. Obviously, didn't touch the Aaron Hernandez thing one bit. So yeah, but hey, man, look, they on the field, the results were great.
I mean, this is when I would just want to immediately deflect from Cam Newton taking laptops from student dorm rooms to Jameis Winston stealing crab legs. I think laptops might have. I don't even know what he was doing with those. I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. I mean, was he trying to sell them or eat them? I don't know. But anyway, that's when I immediately go into immediately attacking the state rival, Florida State.
Well, the good news is with NIL, there'll be no more stealing of crab legs or stealing of laptops because now all the kids have a bunch of money.
You would like to think, and let's hope that is the case. So, wow. So definitely college town. I mean, I think it's an okay thing to say. Columbus is a college town.
Yeah, I would say really, really big, robust
Big
college
college
town.
town. Gotcha. So did you? So before we get more into the app, and I mean, I have so many questions about that. I did want to kind of
Yeah,
get to know you more as well, since we're on the
yeah,
subject about,
yeah.
Columbus, Ohio, and all that. Did you grow up in Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm from Columbus. I used to live like one block over from the original Jenny's ice cream, which you
Oh
would
my
love.
gosh.
So
Oh,
yeah, I went to Ohio State, graduated from Ohio State. So yeah, I think you could definitely safely say I'm a Buckeye.
that is, oh man, you are like born and bred as a Buckeye. That's awesome. So I got to ask you before. I will share mine first, and then I got to ask you. Brambleberry Crisp is there's nothing like it in other ice cream company, in the frozen food aisle. What is your favorite Jenny's ice cream flavor?
Probably, I mean, literally, probably all of them. Like, I'll eat anything as far from an ice cream perspective. I bet you I've had every single flavor 3 different times.
Well, you can't have Ben and Jerry's though, right? Because they're the rival Penn State with the creamery.
They are Penn State. I mean, I'll eat Ben and Jerry's as well. I don't discriminate. There's a Graders, if you've ever heard of Graders. There's a Graders. It's kind of a mid.
Graders, yep.
It's kind of a
Not
mid.
Graders, but Graeters. I know it's not like
Yeah,
great
that's right.
graders, yeah.
You got it. Yeah.
Um,
Also solid ice cream.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting so hungry. This is not good. Uh, I have quite the sweet tooth that I need to get rid of. You must work out a lot. I mean, because again, for the people who are in audio only, you won't see this, but you seem like a very well put together individual who does not eat any ice cream.
Uh, Dude, I eat I mean, I work out a lot. I do like a lot of cardio.
Okay.
But yeah, I eat like an animal. So I just, but so it's like if I don't work out, then I don't know what would happen. So yeah, I do. I eat a lot.
Oh man, I guess I just need to work out more. I mean, that's just
I go to Orange Theory Fitness. Have you ever heard of that?
I have, and there's one that I just have not signed up to near my house.
I don't want to turn this into an Orange Theory podcast, but
Yeah.
if you want to be able to sweat off some ice cream and bourbon, that's
Oh,
what Orange Theory is for.
oh, the bourbon. This we're getting towards a territory that's going to get me a little bit reckless here. So let's.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, yeah, I don't even want to get into the whole like we're gonna have to talk offline. I'm like, what's your favorites? Bourbon and scotch and all that. So,
Yeah.
uh, here's the thing. You seem like I love knowing this about you. Again, OSU and how close are you to actually? Let's get it back to the hobby stuff, like Card Collector 2 and his local card shop.
Yeah. So probably it's like a 35-minute drive.
Okay.
So like if you have Ohio State in the middle, I'm like a northwest suburb, and where Card Collector 2 is like a southwestish suburb.
Southwestish, okay. And
Yeah.
what's your closest like local card show? Like I know there's some in that area. I apologize if these aren't close to you, but like Shipshawana and B Sports and all this stuff that I've heard.
Yeah,
Shout out to
those
them.
are probably an hour or two away.
That's not bad.
There's a local card show that's at essentially at like the fairgrounds slash convention center.
Hmm.
That they do every other week for 7 or 8 months of the year. I mean, they probably have 30 shows a year. I mean,
Wow.
it's pretty well attended on a bi-weekly basis. And I think in some months they only do like one a month. But I went to the
Bi-weekly.
national.
Yeah.
Um, obviously, so and there's a couple of other card shows that I'm gonna go to
Hmm.
before the year's up. But locally, yeah, I mean that's probably just kind of a smallish local show.
So you've set up as like a Cardbox table for those shows.
No, I literally have
Oh,
Dace, who I think you spoke to a little bit.
yes.
So I have a partner that helps me with all of the social media and marketing and
Hmm.
things like that, because he actually works at a one of the top 2 or 3 probably insurance companies in the country in
Mm,
social media and marketing.
got it.
So he helps me with that for Card Boss. So him and I literally just went and bootstrapped it, introduced ourselves to a bunch of people. We were able to have multiple really really good meetings. So yeah, I was able to hook up with Jeff Wilson when I was there. He graded
Mhm.
some cards. Him and I are kind of going back and forth trying to figure out what a potential next step would be. Um, the guys from Collects, I met with them. They have, we've gone back and forth. Actually, I've had a couple of meetings with them. So there's a potential fit there. So yeah, it was really, for me, it was more of, I wanted to be able to go and be mobile and network,
Mhm.
talk to people at night and talk to people, at their booth or grab somebody in the hallway type deal. So we just spent 3 days doing that.
That's awesome. I have no clue how we didn't meet up. It seems like you were doing a lot of networking. I was just kind of running around like a madman, just trying to meet a lot of people, say hi, and finally meet people in person that I've got to only know via Instagram. But
Yeah.
um, we will have to meet up in person next time for sure. I would
Mhm.
love to make a trip down to a Midwest card show and card shop just kind of get a feel, because I feel like with so many things, it's like everyone just keeps focusing on the East Coast and West Coast, and there's a great card show presence and card hobby community in the Midwest. And I hate to even say it like that, because it clumps all these different states up and all these different personalities and
Yeah.
characteristics of the states. But that's awesome
No, I
that
think
you're
that's a fair statement. I mean, it's there's a ton going on in the Midwest.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's I've done some stuff with some local card shops and things like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's been good. Right now we're trying to continue to grow the brand, grow the subscriber base.
Hmm.
It's been cool. The last couple of months we've had some. I think now we're over 200. I think probably it's over 300 now. I'd have to look. Last I looked, it was like 285 subscribers.
Okay.
Um, we have over 1,400 downloads of the app now. So we've had some milestones that
Mm.
have been significant here in the last few months. So we're growing. It's kind of slow but steady. Um, it's been obviously I'm funding the entire thing myself at this point, so I own the
Mm.
whole company.
Mhm.
So you can only go so fast when
Mhm.
I'm the one that's doing the vast majority of the work and
Mhm.
funding the project myself.
Gotcha. So I did get to download your app. I haven't used the service yet. I look forward to using my one free card grading.
Mhm.
That's for everyone. Can I just say, because other people might have this question too. Like when I downloaded your app, it said like the owner developer was like Relentless Ventures. Is that the app developer, or is that your company?
That's my company. So
Okay.
Relentless Ventures is a LLC that I have that I own.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And are these so this is like a patented technology, and I promise I'm not going to ask for the secret sauce and how you guys do all of this.
Right.
Although I do want to get into like the four subgrades and what you all see and what you all
Yeah.
look for. But so this is patented artificial intelligence grading technology, or do you guys have human graders on the other end who kind of take a look at cards, that scans that people send through the app?
Yeah, so it's AI, so it's an algorithm that when you submit a card, it goes through the algorithm. The algorithm will look at the four different subsets of the card and assign a grade to it. And then there's kind of a number system that we have with each subgrades, and we have a formula that will produce what your final grade would be.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, your app description did say that it's patented AI technology, analyzes your cards with complete accuracy and consistency. We have a proven record for grading your cards at the same level as our competitors while taking the element of human error out of our grades. So I think that is what the app description said when I downloaded it. I wrote it
Yeah,
down because I'm like, I wanted to kind
definitely.
of
Yeah,
say it
that's
out
it.
loud.
Yep.
So who would you so one particular word that I honed in on was competitors. Who would you say are your competitors, or maybe even worded differently, who are not your competitors? Because, and the reason I asked that is I recently had Eddie from C3 Grading on, the president of C3 Grading, and he was like, PSA is not our competitor, because he was
Yeah,
like, we're not even Formula One, we're like Formula Two, because they're still so new as well.
yeah.
So, how would you answer that question?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly about the verbiage that you just you read through. So, but I would say, I mean, as far as like if those were the exact words, but we don't really have any competition either. I mean, PSA is certainly not competition. They're not even at this point aware of Card Boss. I think the goal, one of my goals for the company, is for a PSA or an SGC or a Beckett. To be aware of Card Boss and that we exist.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, we're not. we don't slab the card. We don't take ownership of the card. I didn't, I don't, that's there's some giants in that space, right?
Mm.
So our niche market is, hey, even if you're looking at, I know there's shops that you can go and drop your cards off and pay them a couple dollars a card, and they'll look at the cards and pre-grade them, and you come back and pick the cards up,
Mm.
et cetera, like that type of a deal.
Mhm.
Um, so I would say if we had to have a competitor, it might be somebody that is, like a true pre-grader where all they're doing is looking at the cards, and having somebody just, give their opinion on what they see.
Mm.
But yeah, so we don't have any direct competitors, because I think what we're doing is significantly different than even C3, like you mentioned. They're still slabbing the card, right? Like
Right.
that's not what we're doing at all. We actually never even see the card.
Gotcha. Wow. So before we get to the force upgrades that I want to talk to you about, again, talked about this before we press record, but just to kind of share with the audience what is being submitted to the app. Like you may not have a human grader at the end looking at the scans, but certainly you get the categories, you get the scans, your app is able to catalog or figure out, whether a card is a baseball card, football card, Pokemon card. So what is being submitted to all of you?
Yeah, I would say, kind of like we talked about before, I would say 70% of the card. This is a guess because again, I see a very small percentage of the cards that actually come through.
Okay, got it.
So, but and the reason that I would see them would be like if we're going back to look just out of curiosity or something, or if somebody had an issue, like, hey, I submitted the card, and the grade came back a little bit different than I was expecting. And the reason that you'll have that is a lot of times they're taking the pictures the wrong way.
Mm.
So when somebody does, and I'm going to get out of my seat real quick so I can show this to you.
Sure, absolutely.
When somebody creates an account,
Hmm.
we created this is just one of the other things we've done. We created these. This is a little grade board that we'll
Mm.
send,
Okay.
and it provides instructions how to like properly and exactly grade the card or submit the card to be graded.
Hmm.
So yeah, long-winded answer to say that from the cards that I do see,
Yeah.
I would say 70% are sports cards, 30% are non-sports cards, and that 30% is primarily dominated by Pokemon cards.
Gotcha. And what about for the 70% of the sports cards? Is there like more football? Is everyone trying to kind of pre-grade before the regular season just started?
Certainly lately, yeah. I feel like in the last couple of months, it's been a lot of football, but it's pretty balanced between football, baseball, basketball. We see some Formula One. Yeah, a little bit of hockey. It's funny. We went live in Canada with the app because that's a
Mm.
different process. You need to go over, go through jump through some different hoops to do that.
Mm.
So anyway, so we did that, and 70% of the cards that we get from Canada, because I've gone and looked because I was just curious, like, what are our Canadian
Hmm.
friends submitting? It's mostly
Yeah.
hockey.
Yes.
So yeah, so you'll see a lot of hockey from Canada.
So as you say that, I wanted to say my current listenership, and thank you for those of you who are listening, 87% are from the United States, 11% from Canada, and then less than 1%, again, whether it's one person or two people, I have no clue, but I have listeners from Germany, Netherlands, Australia, Switzerland, France, Estonia, United Kingdom, and Indonesia. The
Yeah.
app is only available for US and Canada.
Yes, although I don't know how it happens. And I know we have a couple of subscribers from somewhere
Hmm.
um, in Europe, and I don't know, maybe they downloaded it while they were here, or they changed
Right,
it.
and they don't differentiate. Yeah, I totally know
But
what you mean.
whatever the case was, but yeah, it's US and Canada at this point. Obviously that's on the radar, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Once we're able to, and again, back to kind of me funding it. In a perfect world, if I had somebody say, "Hey, I believe in what you're doing. I want to invest, X amount in your company and take a
Hmm.
small percentage to help you kind of speed up the process of everything." Those are
Yeah.
things that I want to do. We're just not there yet.
Got it. Breaking news that just happened yesterday that I saw on Instagram, because we're recording this September 13th, for for folks who like to know that kind of stuff. But Michael Rubin, he's going to be a shark in Shark Tank.
I saw it. I commented on that actually.
Yeah. So, what did you comment?
Somebody else, I can't remember who it was, but somebody just, they replied to it or commented like, "Hey, I need to get myself on season 15 or something like
Yeah,
that."
yeah, like
And
20
I can't
people.
remember
Yeah,
exactly. I just replied and put like, so do I.
yeah, yeah.
I
I think I saw
I
more
watch
than.
Shark Tank every night. Like I've
Yeah,
seen
no, it's
every episode.
it's so much fun. Shout out to Shark Tank, unofficial sponsor. No,
Shark
Michael
Tank.
Rubin. I always think about content when I consume content, and one of the things I wanted to make, and maybe I'll have to do it before this goes, before this podcast episode is published, is like, there's that Leonardo DiCaprio where he kind of like whistles a guy and like, hey,
Oh,
look,
like,
look,
oh, I
look.
see it. I see it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I want to do that with Michael Rubin on the screen, where he's like the face shot of him with the other sharks, because I feel like a lot of us are going to be doing that in the hobby. That's how we grow the hobby, right? Just get into the zeitgeist, get into the mainstream, and what's right now more mainstream, from a pop cultural television standpoint than Shark Tank, which is such a fun, easy watch. I mean, just having it in the background, and it's a lot of fun. Of course, Mark Cuban has a big presence in it too. So
Yeah, I love Shark. It is an easy watch is a good way to put it.
yeah. Oh man, Shaun, you're gonna be on Shark Tank.
Dude, I would love
Breaking
to be on
here. Oh my gosh, get that application in. Oh, that would be so awesome. I mean, none of us should be surprised if some hobby companies make it on there, right? I mean,
I
you
would
got
think.
you got Ruben there, hobby, sports, just anything sports related. I mean, you got two sharks there who are deep into the sports world, and so I can't wait. I mean, it's gonna be so awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right. Um, we talked about the company, yourself. I keep teasing the force upgrades, so maybe we just get right into that. I will share with you that when I see cards on Instagram and someone posts, "Hey, what do you think my card's going to grade?" I think a lot of people, well, again, I don't know what other people are doing, but what I like to do is I look at the photo, and if I can help someone, I'll help them. So I'll zoom in. And of course, who doesn't love to like comment on other people's cards? It's like half of hobby Instagram is just commenting and criticizing other people's collections. But I zoom in on the corners and edges, and I feel like maybe I could see something, and then I'll say if I see something white. And of course, it's very different from having the card in front of you. So centering, surface edges, centering, corners, edges, I want to get to those. But the main thing that comes to my mind when I think about pre-graded assessments and like this AI way of doing it, just submitting it through an app, is surface.
Yeah.
um I would like to know, like, just from you as the owner of the company, like, how are you all able to identify surface issues with card boss?
Yeah, I would say that the surface is, you can see on the grade report, uh, basically what Cardbus does, without giving away the secret sauce, like you
Sure,
mentioned,
sure.
is it changes the images for each subcategory. So you have edge, surface, centering, and corners,
Hmm.
and it basically adjusts the image specific to that subcategory.
Mm,
So this the image, and you could see it on any grade report. The image for the surface is done a little bit differently.
mm.
Um, it, it's it's like I said, there's a patent, and there's certain things that we
Sure.
can't get into. It's the beauty of it is it's really not like, if you knew what the true answer was, it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that means we're just gonna have to taste the sweet taste of Coca-Cola, and not ask for the trade formula that's hidden in the safe. But
Yeah.
it's really interesting. I had Ryan from GemRate on my podcast earlier, and he was
Yes.
like, when it comes to artificial intelligence grading, all of these companies, it's not like every single artificial intelligence company, grading company is going to be calibrated the same way. You can adjust the levers as you want to get for your, again, secret sauce, or for your own for what you want your company to be. And so
Yeah.
I found that to be really interesting. And he's a very smart individual. So I'll
Yeah,
definitely.
it's been an interesting experience. Not who you just referenced, but I had I would say a really influential person in the hobby that tried Card Boss and actually graded 20 cards and then sent them into PSA, and 18 of the 20 came back with the exact same grade, right? So that's 90%. We're right on. And interestingly enough, it was, I figured that, hey, I told him to expect 85 to 95%. He gets back 90%. And I really didn't even hear much from him. So I don't know if maybe the hobby's not, ready for it just quite yet,
Mm-hmm.
or like what people are, specifically looking for. But yeah, I mean, it's been interesting.
So 85 to 90%. I don't know if you call that accuracy rate, but you said that at least with that one person that was like that. But you would say that again, you're by no means are saying yours is 100% or 99.9% accurate, but you would say you would put it in a high 90s.
I would put it at 90%. I think that's a
Awesome.
fair number. And there's a lot of variables that go into that equation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is Card Boss 100% accurate all the time? No. But is it reproducible? Is it consistent 100% of the time? Yes.
Mm.
Um, so part of the reason that the percentage is at 90 is there's times where we just, because we do take the human element out of it.
Mm-hmm.
um there's times where I feel like folks have submitted cards, and they said, hey, Card Boss gave this a 10, and I got it back from SGC, or I got, specifically PSA, and I got it back from PSA and it was a 9.
Yeah.
And the one that sticks out to me, because I don't know, I didn't know, really what to tell the subscriber. It was an Upper Deck Ken Griffey rookie card.
Mm.
And the thing was perfect. Like, it was perfect. And, so there's going to be times where, if I don't know, there's folks out there that, subscribe to the theory of, kind of controlling the population on certain cards and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's us, it's the graders, it's, we don't know. I mean, taking out the human element, I think is critical, because you're going to get a consistent non-biased grade every time.
Mm-hmm.
And roughly 90% of the time when you submit your cards, it's going to come back with the same grade.
No, that's awesome. What I want to respond to that is like with just basically my own opinion, and this is like this is me taking off the podcast interviewer hat and just more like me, as a consumer and someone who just in and out of the hobby, just someone who's lived through things in life. Is I feel like so much of technology people are scared of until it actually works, and they don't want to be early adopters because they want to see the proof first. So there used to be a time in not just America but in the world where people were deathly afraid of elevators. They were like, I will not get into that thing. I can't go up these floors. I need someone to operate this for me. So we had elevator door bellmen, or I forget what they're even called,
Yeah.
elevator operators. And then cars, right? We're certainly we like cars. We're a huge car culture. We're probably the biggest car culture country in the world. We're so deathly afraid of driverless cars. We're like, oh my gosh, I can't do a driverless car. And then when we see an accident on the news, oh, look at that Tesla exploded, or I mean that's a battery issue, I guess. But
Yeah.
they hit someone on the road, and it's so sad. But it's like the error rate for a driverless car is significantly less. And I don't have the percentages in front of me, but it's significantly less than like a human driver who's distracted by the radio, things on the phone, and just impaired driving and all that. And so I think that when the driverless car gets in trouble, it's just made into such bigger news because it's like, oh, look at that, watch out, that's scary.
Yeah.
But I think it's just inevitable. Driverless cars. I mean, I have 2 young kids. I can't wait for these driverless cars to come so they don't drive by themselves on the road. I can't wait.
If
Um,
I'll take kids Uber as well. Can we get a
oh
kids Uber?
yes, yes. Get them in Ubers,
No, but
absolutely.
similar to what you're saying, specifically for me, my background is medical device. So I've worked for multiple medical device startup companies here in the last, call it like 15, 20 years. And all of those startup companies have been new technology, new procedures, new way to do the procedures. So I've seen that firsthand, in the hospital segment with physicians and doctors that are the early adopters that are like, hey, I want to try it. I think it's cool. I like the idea. And then you start getting the wave of most people where it's like,
Mhm.
okay, now that there's been a handful of folks that have proven that technology works and I can do this procedure effectively, it's safe, it doesn't take me forever, the learning curve's not horrible. They kind of let those people do the dirty work in the med device space, and then the rest of them, will join after. Like Intuitive Surgical, I don't know if you've heard of that.
Mm.
Heard of them? I've never worked for Intuitive Surgical.
Mhm.
It's the biggest robotic company in the world for the medical device space. And back when they got started, I mean, they've gone from no hospitals having Da Vinci robots in them to now every hospital of substance has at least one Da Vinci robot in it, and that's only been over the course of probably 20 years.
My wife loves Grey's Anatomy, and I'm just trying to figure out this new TV series where it's like Grey's Anatomy with robot AI, AI, artificial intelligence, robots having romantic relationships. Sorry,
Yeah.
my mind just went completely like, wow, that's fascinating. So they're called Da Vinci.
Grey's Anatomy showed they used that show's
They
old,
did.
right? But they had Da Vinci robots in there.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they're called Da Vinci. Okay, see, I'm gonna have to talk to my wife about
That's
this.
actually, it's just, I don't want to get off target, but
This
it's
whole thing is off
basically
topic.
the physician, the robot and the physician work together. So the physician still has controls,
Yeah.
right? But the robot's doing all of the procedures and all of the work, because just to simplify it, like if a physician has 2 cups of coffee before a very important brain surgery, for example, they may have
Hmm.
a little bit of shake in their hands.
Yeah.
The robot takes that shake away.
Mm.
So I mean, it makes it so it's cleaner margins. The incisions are better. They're
Mm.
smaller, quicker recovery time for the patient. So yeah, I mean, I'm seeing that with card bus now. The people that try it, those are probably referrals has been great for us.
Oh, man, that's awesome. So, again, I did want to say, I don't think I said this earlier. I know we said it off screen before we recorded. I do this because I want to learn more and I just want to become a more informed and educated consumer. And I'm willing to try out any new service just to see how it goes and see
Yeah,
if I like it. I'm
yeah,
not doing this because I'm angling for some. Have you and I in our DMs, have I at any single point asked, "Hey, can I be sponsored by y'all or any money?"
no,
There's nothing. There's none of that. This is
no,
all me just trying to learn more. And
no. It's
so the
been,
reason,
I appreciate it. It's been
yeah,
helpful. It's great. Yeah, I mean, no, I like literally. This is the first time you've mentioned it right now.
yeah, oh, right, exactly. So isn't it refreshing? Like I have no incoming agenda. I'm not like trying to say you must try Garbage. Try use promo code Denny and you're gonna get 30% off.
Yeah,
And people who do that, that's fine because I have friends in the space who are going for sponsorships and I wish them well. I guess I haven't really talked about it too much on my own pod. I talked about potentially doing things like that, but I was like, you know what? I think at this point, I'll do a separate thing about it. But the great thing about this is not a rigid interview. We talked about ice cream. I'm about to talk to you about how you put your socks and shoes on. This is just a podcast to just have fun and just kind of learn more. I mean, that's
yeah,
really my end goal for this.
yeah. No, it's
So
cool. It's fun.
yeah. So again, like I really appreciate you kind of agreeing to do this, and I just want to see more. I mean, what I'm seeing from Cardbox, again, I haven't even done a single graded card yet with all of you, but it's such an innovative idea. It's interesting. I think our space needs more creativity and innovation from companies, from content creators. I mean, I could just go forever about the content that I'm seeing where I just feel like we could just do better and more. And so I see you doing that, and I was like, I want to learn more. I want to have him on.
Yeah,
So thank you.
yeah. No, I
Um,
appreciate it, and make sure I'll send you one of these.
yeah. So for the
That's
people who are
yeah.
audio only, he was showing this. What is it, like a black
It's
like
a it's a
cardboard?
it's a grade board. It's not a cardboard. It's actually like, imagine the consistency of like a really thick dollar bill. So
Okay.
it's hard to rip it or tear it. It's pretty durable.
Mm-hmm.
And it just provides instructions. So essentially what you do is you put your card inside of that white box
Mm-hmm.
and then crop around the card.
Okay.
But it provides the instructions. The reason
Got
that
it.
this is important is when folks aren't happy with Card Boss, it's because they're not taking the pictures the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, if you go to the website, there's a video on how to do it. But a lot of times people aren't taking the time to read the video. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a flat black background, that's the most important part. This just ensures that we're spot on. But there's times where I've had, people will have a card that they're holding the card in their hand while
Yeah.
they take the pictures
Mm-hmm.
to try to grade it. And it's like, it's,
You're covering
it's,
up the edges.
you
Yeah.
cover, yeah, it's just like,
Center.
I can't help you there.
So the piece of I don't know what you call it, piece of paper that you showed had a very thin rectangular outline that I'm sure that is a 2.5 by 3.5, right? Because that's most standard cardboard.
It's,
Uh,
it, it's a little bit larger than that. So what
okay.
it
Oh,
is
it's
you've got this black board,
okay.
right? And the white, here, let me grab a card real quick.
Sure, sure. For the folks who are listening to the audio, I'm not going to pause it. I'm just going to say, as he's grabbing a card, I want to go grab some ice cream. I am like starving now. Uh, Jeni's ice cream. Oh God, if you could sponsor me, your Brambleberry Crisp is just so good. It really is. All right, Ryan's back. Oh, I
Shaun.
said Ryan. Oh my gosh, it's you know what, Ryan from Gemrate. He's from the Cleveland area, and so when I think Ohio, I keep thinking Shaun. Shaun, I apologize.
My brother's name's Ryan, so you're close.
This is good. Cover me, thank you.
So, I'm trying to hold this up the best I can so you can see it, right? So see how the square itself is a little bit larger than the card?
Yes, I see it.
The idea is to take a picture of the card, right? And then crop around the card close enough to where you can still see the entire card, but you
Mm-hmm.
cannot see the white line, which it's
Like it.
super easy to do, right? I mean,
Gotcha.
and the instructions are literally detailed. It tells you step by step. Place the card inside the white box. Take the picture of the card. So if you do it this way, you'll be good. But I mean, there's still folks that if you have it on a flat black background and you do a nice job of cropping the card, but you don't
Mm-hmm.
crop into the card,
I see.
be fine.
Sounds fantastic. I mean, again, these phones we have, I mean, I do all my content on these phones with CapCut, cropping, editing. So maybe someone like me, it's just a lot easier for me. But cropping is not that hard, especially when you can just do it in like straight 90-degree angle cuts. So that's really great. I mean, you know what's great is people aren't using their Canon ELPHs and Kodak, single-use disposable cameras, right? Like back in the day, like our cameras are so powerful that you can see a speck of dust on a card. I mean, you can see a skin, a pimp, a pore. I don't say pimple, but you could see like skin pores on people, from taking a picture from like 10 feet away, like portrait mode. And so I just got to say, like, I mean, the technology is there. I mean, and it's the proof is already there. I think, again, I want to try it myself and see how it is, but we're not talking about blurry, hazy, low res photos.
No, no, it's interesting when you have it on the grade board, like I just showed, or on a clean flat black surface. Um, it's amazing. I mean, you can see any type of corner issue. This actually reminds me. I've done this and I think we have it up on our website. We've put it up on social. I've had cards that were raw on eBay. You'll like this.
Hmm.
There's been people are selling raw cards on eBay, right?
Yes.
And I'll see the card and I'll like it and I'll think just visually quickly it looks nice and all right, that's in pretty good shape. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll DM that person and just the seller and say, hey, can you please take a picture of the card on a flat black background, front and back, and
Mm-hmm.
send it back to me?
Yeah.
I'm a serious buyer because I wouldn't waste their time if I wasn't a serious buyer, and
Right.
I want them to do it.
Right.
So then I'll actually take their images and run it through the app.
Oh my goodness.
So
That's such a smart idea.
I had I've done it a couple of times. Did it with a 1987 Michael Jordan. Card Boss gave it a 7. I bought it raw. Then I got the card. I graded it with Card Boss before I bought it, right? So I bought it raw. Then I sent it in a PSA, and I got a 7. I didn't sell that one. I just have it for my personal collection because I like it. But I can't remember the year. It's on the website too. I want to say like a 62, maybe something like that, Mickey Mantle that I bought raw. And I had that, the person had sent me, a picture of the front and back, and Card Boss gave it a 6. So I bought it at a good price and sent it in a PSA and got a 6. And I actually flipped around and sold that one and made like $600 on it just for fun.
Shaun, you just blew my mind. I did not even think about running cards that you don't own for pre-purchase. Like, this is genuinely me. Like, this is not planned. I did not know this. We had not even talked about this concept, but
Yeah.
I love that idea. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Run cards on eBay or any selling platform that are raw through your app and potentially save yourself some major headaches.
Yeah. So I'll show you like real time. I'm trying to look and see. Okay. So it was a 1960 Topps Mickey Mantle. So I bought it on July 24th for $553. And then I sold it. I got to go back and figure out where I can go to my solds, but I can't see the ones. Anyway, long story short, I bought it. I sold it a couple months later after I got it graded and made like $500 or $600 on it.
That's fascinating. I mean, so again, like, this isn't for. I mean, this could be for anyone: flipper, investor, collector, people. But basically, people who are going or about to grade. I don't. Could you imagine a scenario where someone uses your app without the intent to grade that particular card?
What do you mean?
So again, this is just a hypothetical. I'm just kind of thinking about it. It seems like your app is meant for people who want to grade that card, and they just want to know before, like a raw card review or pre-graded assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Could you foresee any utility for someone who isn't planning to grade that particular card? I mean, I guess maybe it's too low, so I won't submit it for grading. It's too low. It's going to get an 8, so I'm not going to submit it for grading. So I guess that's the answer, maybe, or one of the answers.
Well, there's a couple of answers to that. I mean, I think half the cards that get graded by Card Boss don't get submitted, because what you're trying to do is rule out the cards that it's like, hey, that Michael Jordan that I mentioned, that's an older card. It's an 87. There's a lot of high value there. So it got a 7. So it's kind of worth sending in. But the majority of the users are trying to use Card Boss to differentiate between a card that's an 8 or 9 or a 10. And that card's only worth me spending $50 to get graded and waiting 3 months if it's going to come back a 10 or it's going to come back a 9 rather than an 8. So, now that I understand your question, I think a lot of times I look at myself. If you have, let's just say I had 20 cards that I wanted to send in a PSA, and they're not running a special, and it's because the prices move around a little bit. So it's going to take me a really long time to put together a submission for 20 cards, right? Like, you got to fill out what every single card is. You got to pay the insurance and taxes and shipping and things like that back and forth. And if it's $50 a card, whatever it is. So let's say you had 10 cards, it would probably cost you $650, give or take, to submit those cards with insurance and shipping and stuff like that. But if you use Card Boss and you're able to rule half of those out, that they're not going to get a grade that's good, and you can see it in front of you, maybe you only send 5 in. So, you've just saved yourself not only, $325 or whatever the math is, but you've saved yourself a lot of time too. Cause like, for me, time's critical. Like, I don't submit cards to PSA as much as I would like, mostly because it takes me forever to do it.
Yes. Same here. Filling in declared value and the description and gosh, yes. Yeah. Wow. We're already past the
Oh, wow.
allotted time that I said we would. Time flies by. I'm telling you, when every time I record, whether I'm a guest or a host, just flies by. So we didn't even get to centering corners and edges, but
Yeah.
maybe we don't. I mean,
I
uh,
mean, I can run through. I mean, just if you want to do it in 30 seconds, I can give you just a high level overview.
I would love that. Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you submit a card, you'll get what we call a virtual slab, where it's just going to be an image of the card. It's a PDF and it says 9 on it, right? And then you're also going to get what we call a grade report, and it's going to break it down edge, center, surface, corners for the front of the card. And then below that, you're going to get those same 4 subcategories below the card. So you'll get individual scores for all 8 or all 4 subcategories, 4 for the front, 4 for the back. But then you'll get, a final grade of, hey, this card is a 9 or it's an 8 or it's a 10 or whatever it is. But yeah, so all 4 subcategories, similar to like Beckett, right? You can buy a Beckett card and that's been graded, and you'll have an 8 on edge, a 9 on corner, a 9 on surface, and an 8 on center. Ours will do something similar. It just does it for the front and the back.
So you again, without secret sauce stuff, the pre-grading, the assessment you guys do, it's also like the grading companies where you can't get more than one digit above the lowest of the grades and all that type of thing.
It's not like that.
Okay, it's not like that.
There's
Got it.
a like a unique formula that we use. One of the reasons that it's like that, it's not like that, is our centering. It's almost impossible to get a 10 on centering from Card Boss because we do a 50-50 split. Like, it's got to be a perfect center. It's not going to get a 10. If it's 51-49, it's not going to get a 10. Whereas if it
Wow.
was 55-45 on PSA, for example, you'd probably still get a 10 for centering.
Right, right. Well, what about some of these car companies where they say you can be 90-10 or better in the back of the card and still get a gem mint, so long as everything else is like perfect?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of times you'll see Card Boss will give something an 8 for centering on the front or the back, and
Mhm.
the card will still come out a 9 or a 10 as the final grade. But again, that all feeds back into the formula that we put together to try to factor all of that in.
See, I'm glad you did the speed run and explained it that way, because that's really, hopefully, people who try your app will realize that's what's going on. Where again, your calibration is, you must be almost perfect 50-50 top, bottom, left, right, and yet even if you're not, and you get a lower subgrade for centering, you can still, like a real grading company, you can still gem mint that card. So
No doubt. Happens a lot.
that's awesome. That's so awesome. So you don't have little elves with little rulers and protractors and all these loops in the background. You just have your app, your patented technology that helps do this for folks. And um, I genuinely cannot wait to try this out. I might have to use
Yeah.
the special.
Yeah, yeah, we still have the doc specials up.
Shout out to Doc. I was gonna do it.
Thanks,
I'm glad
Doc.
you did it. Yep. Daryl Garner, Dr. Collectibles. Shout out to Doc. He
Shout
has a
out to
special. Do you want to
Doc.
explain the special to folks?
Yeah, so it's actually, I just know we're making a couple of changes, not to the grading or anything like that, but as you might imagine, as a small, still, startup company, we're
Hmm.
constantly, fixing just various things, making improvements, making changes. You had mentioned just an email tweak that we need to make within the app. So there's little things that we're always working on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the doc promotion is, it's actually, I know you're the one that just, when you just told me that was still up on the app,
Hmm.
I didn't know that it was actually still up on the app. It's not supposed to be, because I never go into I haven't gone into the app. So anyway,
The
the
user end, yeah.
the doc's welcome package it's $89.99 for
Hmm.
50 grades.
Yes.
So you can grade 50 cards for $90. Give it a try, see what you think. Then the other thing that I would say is our subscriptions.
Hmm.
You're not locked in. Like, if you wanted to buy, I had a guy that was like, hey, I have a collection of about 900 cards I want to grade. He
Hmm.
bought the largest package we have, which is 1,000 cards.
Hmm.
And he literally just blitzed through 1,000 cards in a month and canceled his membership.
Wow.
So, I mean, we're not, I've always hated the companies. I think most companies are getting away from this. Like, I don't want to be a
Hmm.
company that like locks you into some type of an agreement, right? If you want
Gotcha.
to use the service and you like it, you can keep paying it. And if you want to cancel it, cancel it.
So I'm looking at so it seems like you have 5 subscription bases: starter, mint, gem mint, champion, commercial, and those start from $20 a month all the way to $1,000 a month. That's the commercial where like you can do 2,000 cards. That comes out to, I guess, like 50 cents a card, which again, but that's like $1,000. But the Docs Welcome Special, it's not a monthly thing. It's like 50 cards, discounted price. So the dollar that's crossed out is $125. So normally 50 cards would cost $125 a grade, but you're saying his special is $90. So again, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And we
I
put that together just to, because we're, Doc's a good dude and we wanted to put something together. He's been super helpful for Card Boss.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
this is yeah,
and plus it's nice because I feel like some people, I can't explain that, every time that, hey, we're not locking you into a subscription. Some people just, they don't like the word subscription.
exactly
So this is
right.
just, even though you can cancel anytime, we have that package just so somebody feels like, hey, in case I forget to cancel or whatever it
Mhm.
is, then I'll just buy this one package. I got, I can use, grade 50 cards, and that's a gives you a good snapshot of the app, and 50 cards should give you an idea of whether you want to keep using it or not.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And again, I'm not doing this for freebie. Like if I believe in this company, which right now I gotta say I do, and I want to spend this the $90, that's less than $2 a card. The thing that I really like, I think the selling point for me, and again, for some people might be turned off by this because it may sound too infomercially. I get it, but for me, I'm just looking at it going, listen, if I mess up buying a card on eBay and it can cost me several well, I don't dabble in like the really really expensive stuff, but like if I think the I want to buy to grade to flip grade and flip, and the difference can be like $100. I mean, that's just one card where that difference is like that. So it could just pay for itself in just a one or two pre-grade assessments where I miss something, on a zoomed in scan on an eBay photo. So I think that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, it'll totally pay for itself because
Yeah.
you'll either save money from sending. Yeah, you'll spend less sending cards to get graded.
Right. I think the grading companies want more cards to be graded, but I think that hurts the consumer. Where we all joke about this, about how there's some base rookie prism cards that should never have been graded. There's some things that, there's some people who get 6s and 7s on things that they thought were going to gem. And we're not talking about cards from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We're talking about ultra modern cards
No doubt.
where cards are being submitted, and whether they're looking at their cards while they've had some Jennies and bourbon, or whether they didn't have their glasses on, like they're just submitting things, and it's just like, wow, like these cards are really out in the wild. That
Yeah.
whether it's the card value or the card itself, like just the condition itself never should have been graded. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, no doubt. It happens. I mean, you see those cards that are on eBay that it's like a 7 and it's for sale and the final bid's like $11. And it's like,
Yes.
dude, what a waste.
Exactly. No, that's fascinating. So, I'll definitely put my money where my mouth is and give this a shot.
Cool.
I'll spend my own $90 to try out this welcomes package because, yeah, I will say I think I like the idea of maybe like the a la carte, because who knows if I'm going to be grading, everything in 1 month, with eBay sales. Because I like to, I mean, I go through these weird binges where I'll go a long time without buying cards, and then in short spurts, I'm like, I'm just buying everything. Like it's like I'm starving and I'm at the grocery store. I'm just putting everything in my cart.
I know.
So I like this. This is really cool.
Yeah.
We are almost at an hour. I
Cool,
wanted
man.
to try to keep it under 45 minutes. I fail miserably almost every time. But is there anything else you'd like to add before I press end record on this?
Just thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's obviously been great. We've exchanged some DMs. Thanks for having me.
Hmm.
I've enjoyed it. I think for the people that listen or watching, anything that I pride myself on being really responsive. So
Okay.
if there's a request or somebody wants to have a grade board sent to them so they can, use it when they're submitting cards, or they had a general question, DM me on Instagram. The email is just team at cardboss.com. So yeah, just we'll be myself and then Dace, who helps me some. We're all over it. So if anybody needs something, we'll be right there.
And Dace, I know from messaging is DACE, Dace, right?
DACE, yeah.
Okay.
Dace de la Paray.
And Shaun is SHAUN, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And your Instagram handle is what again?
Like I
Card
said,
Buzz
Dace,
Grading?
it's Card Boss Grading for Instagram.
Yes, got it.
Sometimes
Got it.
I get Instagram and Twitter mixed up, but it's Card
I
Boss Grading.
totally.
Card Boss Grading for Instagram, and
Uh-huh.
then for in the App Store,
Mhm.
whether it's Apple or Google Play. If you type in Card Boss or Card Boss Grading, it'll come up, and you'll see
Got
our.
it. So before I let you go, I did say in the recesses of my brain, I just realized I did say I wanted to ask you how you put your socks and shoes on. Are
Yeah,
you someone who puts on both socks first and then your shoes on, or are you putting on your left sock, left shoe, right shoe? Like which sock do you first even put on? Do you even if you could just think about it from like a
it's an
daily
easy. I already
basis?
know the answer. I thought
Go
about
ahead.
it when you mentioned it earlier. I put my
Go ahead.
right sock on, then I'll put my left sock on, then I put
Mhm.
my right shoe on, then I put my left shoe on.
I feel like that's going to be a majority of folks who are right-handed, and I think that's the only correct answer. Anyone else who answers differently, I'm just going to have to block you on Instagram, I
So I'm
think.
assuming your approach is the same as mine to the socks and shoes.
Well, I don't know who's putting on one sock and then one shoe on, or who's putting on, just these different ways. But it's interesting because this first started out with the first grader I did with Craig from Forensic Cart Grading. Shout out to him. But we were talking about how people put on, which corners are getting damaged with the penny sleeves and top loaders. And, he even told me Pokemon collectors put their cards upside down into a penny sleeve, which is wild to me. But for this particular question, I did have to think really hard about it because I was like, what do I always do it one way? Do I not? But I did think that, yeah, I am definitely, the more I thought about it. And since then I have like watched myself do it, which sounds so weird to say. But I put on right sock first, left sock, and then my right shoe and my left shoe. Yes,
Yeah,
that is,
it's
yeah,
it's, it's that is. It's like the only way.
yeah. So keep your shoes and socks clean and not you know ding free and dent free, and cards as well. Shaun, this has been fabulous. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Yeah,
I wish you nothing but the best with, I wish I said that with every person. I feel bad I didn't say that, but I wish you nothing but the best with your company and your endeavors, and thank you for just being a value add to the hobby. And this is a lot of fun.
thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate it. It was great to meet you.
All right. Take care. Oh, one last thing. Can you say hooroo to our listeners in, I forget which country, but that's a goodbye in one of the countries that I mentioned earlier. Hooroo.
Hooroo!
Thank you. All right. Take care, Shaun.
See you, man.
Thank you for listening to the Car Diary by Hobbyist Thompson. You can find the show's Instagram account at Hobbyist Thompson, all one word. And you can find my personal hobby Instagram account at Denny_cards. You can also reach me and the show via email at hobbysthompson@gmail.com. Please send any and all questions there if you do not have Instagram. Also, if you're able to rate or review this podcast in whichever platform you're listening to me on, I would very much appreciate that. Finally, wherever you are in your cardboard journey, I wish you well, and I am rooting for you. Remember, we all start at zero, and also do what you want, because unless this is a business or a main source of income for you, the hobby is supposed to be fun.